Welcome back to Factory Automation of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Takahashi.
And I'm Chris. Great to be here.
Good to have you. Today, we have a very insightful question from a listener who goes by the radio name Togunoni Nashi-san.
Right.
Togunoni Nashi-san writes, "Good morning. I've noticed a trend where Keyence and Mitsubishi are releasing new controllers that seem very similar to the Omron NX series. They all feature integrated motion, OPC UA, EtherCAT, and support for IEC 61131-3. However, it's been over 10 years since the NX was launched, and frankly, I don't get the impression that it has been a massive seller. So my question is, why are Keyence and Mitsubishi launching controllers so similar to the NX now? I know this might be a sensitive topic, but I'd love to hear your thoughts."
That's a sharp observation. The first part that stands out to me is the claim that the NX isn't selling well. Is that actually true?
That's a good question. I think what the listener is feeling is based on market share. There's an annual report that tracks PLC sales in Japan, and if you look at the data over the last decade, Omron's overall market share hasn't seen a dramatic spike. The real growth story has been Keyence. Their numbers have been climbing steadily. So while the NX is certainly selling, it hasn't completely taken over the market.
Okay, so it's not a flop, but it wasn't a market-disrupting blockbuster either. That makes the listener's question even more interesting. Why copy a product that was just moderately successful, and why now?
Right. And to answer that, we have to look at the bigger picture. We've talked about this before, but the domestic Japanese automation market is mature. It's not really growing anymore. In fact, it's shrinking slightly. For Japanese companies to grow their revenue, which they must do as publicly traded companies, they have to look overseas.
And the biggest overseas market is?
China. The sales figures for all the major FA companies show a significant shift toward the Chinese market. It's where the growth is.
Okay, so what does the Chinese market want in a PLC?
This is the key. The Chinese automation market is heavily influenced by Germany, largely due to the massive presence of German automakers like Volkswagen. That means the technical standards and expectations are set by German engineering. And what are the hallmarks of modern German automation? OPC UA, EtherCAT, and IEC 61131-3.
So to succeed in the biggest growth market, Japanese companies have to build a German-style controller. And the model for that, which already exists, is the Omron NX.
Exactly. But that brings us to the why now part of the question. The Omron NX was truly ahead of its time. 10 years ago, trying to pack a powerful motion controller, an EtherCAT master, and a multi-core CPU into a compact, affordable package was extremely difficult. The technology just wasn't there to do it cheaply. Omron made a huge investment and created a great product, but it was expensive.
It was a premium product for a market that wasn't fully ready for it yet.
Right. Fast forward 10 years. What's changed? The cost of powerful multi-core processors has plummeted. The technology has become commoditized. What was once cutting edge and expensive is now affordable and accessible to everyone. Keyence and Mitsubishi can now build a controller with the same capabilities as the NX, but at a much lower cost point, thanks to a decade of technological progress.
So it's less about copying Omron and more about the technology finally catching up to the market's demands, making that type of all-in-one controller a viable, mainstream product.
That's how I see it. Omron took the initial risk and established the blueprint. Now that the underlying technology is cheap and the biggest market, China, is demanding those features, it's a logical step for everyone to jump in. It's the commoditization of the high-performance PLC.
It's fascinating how much of this is driven by the evolution of the silicon inside the box.
It really is. The capabilities of the CPU dictate everything. The reason they can integrate motion control directly now instead of having a separate motion card is because the main processor is fast enough to handle those high-speed, deterministic tasks without offloading them to a separate card. The bottleneck has been removed.
This also explains the drive recorder feature that Keyence is pushing so heavily.
Could you elaborate on that?
A drive recorder, or trace function, captures high-speed data from all the variables in the PLC, which is incredibly useful for troubleshooting, but it requires a massive amount of memory and processing power to handle that data stream without affecting the main program scan. 10 years ago, that was a luxury. Now with powerful, cheaper CPUs, it can be a standard feature. It's another example of hardware advancements enabling new software capabilities.
That's a perfect example. It's a feature that Japanese end users who often do a lot of on-site debugging value immensely. I've even heard that European manufacturers struggle to understand its appeal. Their philosophy is more, why are you debugging on the factory floor? The machine should have been perfectly simulated and validated beforehand. It's a cultural difference in engineering philosophy.
So, in summary for Tokunani-san, Keyence and Mitsubishi are building NX-style controllers now because the technology has become affordable and the massive Chinese market, influenced by German standards, is demanding those specific features. Omron was a pioneer, but now the rest of the industry is catching up.
Precisely. It's not so much imitation as it is a convergence of market needs and technological feasibility.
Another fantastic discussion. Thanks for breaking that down.
My pleasure. And thank you, Tokunani-san, for the excellent question. Outro music fades in. That's all the time we have for today on Factory Automation of Tomorrow. I'm Takahashi.
And I'm Chris. Keep on automating.